How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to another episode of NAISB. Self Reagan Harold. We have Carly Fitzer and we have Miss Ruth to start off the episode. Carly, it's going to be a great episode. I love these. It's a great girl. I love that doll.
Even when she gets passports.
Wasn't my passport. She didn't eat my passport. Carly, we
Cute.
gotta get rolling because boy, do we have an episode. We have a
Stellar.
massive. We really have two big announcements. One at the beginning and one at the end of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You got to stick
but
around to hear the real big one at the end.
you got stick around here. The big one. It's one some people already know, but it's out there at this point. But at the beginning or at the end of this episode, that's already we know at least an hour and 7 minutes because we have an awesome interview. Carly, you want to talk about who we have on?
Yeah, we had Coach Paul Hunt, and Abby Pressgrove, Benedictine, two really great people. I've gotten to play against them the past three years. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great one. I mean, y'all have heard me get on here and talk about why I want to do this for the future. And it's kind of part of that teaser we were talking about. You gotta wait till the end of this to hear and we get into that. But hey, Coach Paul Hunt, one of the guys that's the reason for why I want to continue on with NAIA softball. Great interview, long overdue. And even that wasn't even the highlight of the episode. I mean, hearing Abby and her story, don't want to spoil it now, but I mean,
Chills.
yeah, chills. But
Very cool.
Save all that for now, for later. For now, we'll tell you about one announcement, and then after that, we're going to just give you the weekend recap, the actual softball that was played. We are going to actually talk about that this episode. Shocker, I know. But first, we have an announcement, something really fun we have decided to do new this year, some new content that I think will help us on socials for sure. I think they're going to do some numbers, but I think also it will help highlight players and teams, but mostly players across the country. What we are doing is an East versus West All-Star vote. So kind of, like you have MLB with the Midsummer Classic. It's right around that kind of time of the year for us with the NAIA softball. So this is what we're going to do. 18 conferences, 19 with the independents, the Continental. We'll talk about them in a second. So we're going to split up the conferences. We thought two different ways. It's either just going to be kind of like, all right, Kansas City, draw a line straight down the middle, half and half. Decided not to go that route. Didn't want, we want to make sure conferences were together for this. We didn't want, like Baker to be going up against Benedictine. We got that to talk about later on this week with that matchup. But y'all get the gist. So here's how we're going to get the teams. 10 conferences will make up Team East. This will include the independents. So Fisher, Florida National, Georgia Gwinnett, et cetera, there. And the other conferences, along with the Continental/Independents, are the Appalachian Athletic Conference, the Chicagoland Crossroads, the Heart of America, Mid-South, River States, Southern States, the Sun Conference, and the WAC. So those 10 are Team East, and they will be going up against, again, we're obviously not going to play this game unless we can pull some serious strings, which I don't think. Doubt it, but it's just theoretical. Maybe we could do something fun because obviously Sun Conference guy right here.
Yeah.
On Team East and Team West, we have the American Midwest, of course, the California Pacific, the CPAC, the Cascade, the GSAC, Carly. We also have the GPAC, the KCAC, the Red River, the North Star, and of course our friends in the Sooner Athletic Conference. That will make up Team West. So how are we doing these all-star games or all-star voting, you may ask? Great question, audience. It is not going to be the crew doing this. Not going to be me, Madison, Mimi, Carly, Connor, Braden, Connor. I said Connor. Yeah, Kayla. We're not going to be sitting there devising and skating. It's not going to be that. It's going to be up to y'all. So you can't get mad at us. You can't. Y'all can't get mad at us about this. It's impossible. Will we have our own votes? Yes, we will. But just it will count just as much as all of you, our wonderful, wonderful fans, all fans of NAIA softball. Voting will start 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, March 27th. So tomorrow. And it will end at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, April 4th. So 7 days, 1 week. You have to put in your vote. The voting will be on a Google form. We will tweet that out. It'll be pinned to our pinned to our profile. It will be in our bio and Instagram in our Instagram bio and our Twitter bio, and on the next episode and the episode after that. So yeah, the 2 episodes that we will air after this is tweeted out, it will be linked in the podcast episode. You will have to sign in with the Google account to use it. Reason is that we are going to limit it to 1 response per email. Now, if you want to go through the trouble making multiple emails and doing it, fine. That's the loophole. We all know it. We've all done it. We've been there with like Netflix or something. I'm gonna stop before I incriminate myself. Let me chill out. But yeah. So it's pretty simple. You'll have player at each position, 2 pitchers, 3 outfielders, obviously, and then 1 catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, DP. That simple for Team East and for Team West. Entire ones on there. You'll go through. I think it like starts with Team West DP, Team East DP, Team East pitchers, Team West pitchers. Blah 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 blah. All the way down. You click, you choose. Now we're going to put probably like 10 to 15 options at each one. Other than pitcher, we'll do like 30, and outfielders we'll probably do like 40 to 50 because you got to get 3. If you don't see who you want, and stats will be there, it'll be the stats will be there. I'm going to go through and put stats in the form. It's going to be this is going to be my Tuesday project. Just typing in the stats. I'm going to be real knowledgeable after this little project. But you'll click through. If you don't see who you want, don't see who you think should get the vote, there is a write-in option at the end. However, I just, with all due respect, just be realistic with them, know what I'm saying? But vote whoever you want to put in there. But I'm super excited for this. I think it's going to be fun. I think there's going to be some competition. I think it's going to grow us. Carly, your thoughts on All-Star Game?
I think it's awesome. I think it's a fun little new addition that we're adding to our content.
Yep.
And I'm also curious to see what the people think.
I mean, I like how already we have a rift between you and me with Team East and Team West. Like I like the elephant in the room. Like we got to talk about it. It's like Sun Conference and GPAC with a lot of other like obviously a lot of other ones. I mean, just off rip, looking at it, I got some pictures. I have some.
Me too.
I have some pictures. You do too. You do too.
Yep.
You do too. You do too. I get to. We're about to talk about CMU's staff.
Yeah.
I got Kira Baker. I got Annalise. DP position. I got Bryce Peacock. All right, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. This is gonna mess around and be like a 2.5. This is gonna be like a Joe Rogan style type podcast. But yeah, super excited again. Wednesday we'll tweet it out. It'll be on our Facebook. If you follow us on social media anywhere, you'll be able to find it. I promise. Get it. The details are there. It's simple. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. This is the first year of doing it. Hopefully it's not the last. So hopefully we have fun time with it. Y'all have fun with it. Y'all got it. Y'all know what to do. Carly, let's talk softball, and let's start with, we're talking to a Heart of America coach and Coach Paul Hunt. We got to go 2. Baker taking 2 from number 16, Grandview.
Yeah, I mean, we've been hitting Baker's back. Riley Phillips set the tone straight. They were never gone.
They never left, brother. They never went anywhere.
Baker been here. They take 2 from Grandview. They win the doubleheader 3-1 both games. Kira Baker had a great game 1, 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 unearned run, 4 Ks. Jessica Walljasper, I have to give it to her. She had a great game 2, 7.2, 3 earned runs, 5 Ks, only 1 walk. But Riley Phillips, boom.
Boom. Habooga.
What was it you said in that one? In that one call? Was it?
Which one? Which one?
The one that you got recognized for baseball. That dude hit like his 2nd home run.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I know which one you're talking about, but I can't think about it.
I was gonna shout it. But Riley Phillips walk off 2-run shot to take game 1.
Not the last walk off we're going to talk about. A lot of walk offs.
Yeah.
I was on the call for a walk off.
The group chat was going crazy. Game 2, Brianna Barczyk, complete game, 6 Ks, only 1 earned run. They scored 3 in the 4th with Riley Bell, Maddie Ball, Haley Ramirez. They all 3 had RBI knocks. Great showing for Baker. They are here.
Yeah, tough weekend for Grandview. Not only losing those 2, but Park. I mean, shout out Park getting a huge win over Grandview. So tough for them with polls coming up this week. All right, is that this week or next week? I think next week. I don't know. But whenever, right there. Days are starting to blur together at this point. But no, great for Baker. This was huge. This was huge for the Baker Wildcats, Carly, to get these 2 games. They were rightfully pissed off. They should be after.
Yeah.
Look, what they made their own bed in an extent to start the season 0-4. But hey, are we really going to punish a World Series team that much? Drop them that far? And this is what happens. They've won what? How many in a row at this point? A lot.
Yeah.
That'd be like 17.
Not OLLU, but
no.
A good handful.
Jesus Christ, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. They I don't know if that team is going to lose a game until postseason, to tell you the truth. But Baker, they're going to be a focal point a lot this week. Obviously they're playing Benedictine in what will be whoever wins that series. If anybody takes 2 between Benedictine, Baker, Carly, can you 100% say at that point that's the number 2 team in the heart of America?
I think so, but not 100% confidently because there are so many teams in that conference that can give you a run for your money.
That's fair. And we found out this weekend that really any team can give anybody a run for their money because there is no doubt the number 1 team, the top dog in the heart of America, the Central Methodist Eagles. And they did get tested this week. 2 close wins against Mount Mercy and Clark. But we're going to talk about the pitching staff here in just a sec. But Liz Palumbo had an absolute weekend, highlighted, of course. You saw it on the Instagram post that we did, and we collabed with Central Methodist Athletics. Shout out them, great broadcast. Love watching that. Also, what a crowd! I don't know if you got to watch that game. Unbelievable crowd. Oh, great atmosphere.
I love that.
Kind of remind me of Babson Park. We'll talk about that later. But Liz Palumbo, 3-run walk-off bomb to right to win the game, 5-2. They were down 2-0 in this game, heading into the bottom of the 6th. Scoreless through 5. Mount Mercy did get 2 in the top of the 6th. CMU would answer right back, and obviously Palumbo would end it with the walk-off. Carly, CMU's pitching staff, we have said it plenty of times, it's been top 2, top 3. I am willing to say now this is the best pitching staff in NAIA softball. I feel that. I feel pretty confident saying that. Now, this isn't just because of what happened against Mount Mercy and Clark. Good teams, good Heart of America teams. They're going to have to play tougher lineups for sure. later on in the season when we get postseason play. But still, just look at what they did this weekend. Haley Ferris and Haley Cotter combined for 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 0 walks in that 5-2 game 1 win. Jordan Ball this weekend. Carly, she had a little bumps and bruises early on. Her ERA, her full-on numbers aren't going to reflect the way she's pitching right now. But just look at what she did this weekend in now Heart of America play, in conference play. 2-0, 13 strikeouts in 13 innings, 1 earned run, 0 walks. And then Haley Cotter comes out game 4, 5 innings in a complete game performance there, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. They played phenomenal defense, 1 error all weekend. They're just under 97% and 96.8% overall fielding this year. And we haven't even talked about the lineup, which we talk about that lineup a little bit more with Paul Hunt in a little bit. They got 7 of their everyday starters. And when I mean every day, like they haven't missed a game. They played every game, batting over 300. Highlighted by 2 sophomores, Palumbo, who we just talked about, batting 414, 24 RBIs, 7 doubles, and Casey Jolly, who leads the team, has the triple crown for the Eagles with 9 home runs, 26 RBIs, and batting at a 463 click. Carly, this is like, and you look at their losses, they don't have bad losses. I guess IU Southeast, after they already beat 2 top 25 teams in the same day against Columbus. We talked about that months ago, but
Yeah.
the other one's OLLU.
Yeah.
This team is legit. I feel confident in saying they are one of the 4 teams I think will be playing on the last weekend of NAIA softball in Columbus, Georgia.
I'm with you.
Like that. Pretty good. The thing is also, once they get to an opening round, there's not going to be a more battle-tested postseason ready team because of the schedule they've got to go play. And look, we've seen from what's the last half decade, last 5 years of NAIA softball taught us? Having schedules like that gets you there. College of Idaho, Oregon Tech, Southern Oregon. Now, look, you do what you do in your preseason. If you have a week preseason, I think if you have a week preseason and a week in conference, I think we kind of seeing that doesn't bode well for you in postseason, or if you do when you're opening round get to the World Series play. I think that's a fair thing to say. But you look at, like I just said, all those Cascade teams that are so well prepared through the season. And now I look at, and I credit OLLU for this. Like we both credited OLLU for this, and we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That they've played a heck of a preseason.
Yeah.
And then and now their conference is a solid conference. Like LSUA and Victoria are 2 really good teams. We'll talk about both those 2 teams in a little bit too. But Central Methodist, they have that combination of being in one of the most elite conferences in NAIA softball, plus an insane preseason. They're dangerous. I think they're definitely one of the betting favorites to win the World Series this year. But moving on, because like I said, this is already going to be a long episode. Let's set up to the great state of Indiana with some Crossroads League rivalry action.
Yeah, Iowa and Marian. Not much cooking really in game 1. Marian took it in 6 innings, 11-3. Sierra Norman was 3 for 3 with a home run. She scored 3 runs, had 2 RBIs. Grace Meyer, 2 for 3, 3 RBIs. It's pretty much all she wrote for game 1. Game 2 was a lot more interesting, a little bit more back and forth. 9-8, Iowa takes it. They jump out to a 3-0 lead in the first. Marian comes back in the third. They score 6. Iowa ties it up with 3 more in the fourth. Sadie Harding's 3rd hit of the day gave the Wildcats the lead. An error in the Sierra Norman sac fly gave the Knights an 8-7 lead through 6. Ella Phillips hits a pinch hit, 2-out, 2-run home run to give Iowa the 9-8 lead in the 7th. So just a back and forth game.
Love it.
I didn't get to watch it. I wish I could have.
You remember when Coach Babs go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say shout out McKenna Waddle, coming in from the pen, going 4 2/3, 2 unearned, slamming the door in the 7th.
Huge. I was just gonna say, you remember when we had Coach Babs on and he was talking about some of the best Crossroad Leagues games. I mean, I gotta call him, talk to him, and be like, hey, that one's got to be up there.
Yeah, has to be. I
Dude,
mean, just reading through it, it looks electric.
Dude, I had the walk-off bug. I had the walk-off bug just biting me this weekend because I started off like Friday. It was great Friday. I was just laying on the couch. I had March Madness games on, seeing my bracket just get absolutely torched. Cause I'm below 40%. It's bad.
So am
It's
I. I'm
bad.
with you. Mine is so bad. I'm in last in my league.
You know what? My Sweet 16 though, the Sweet 16 bracket we're doing in the group chat.
Cooking.
Every game, I'm gonna win every game. Every game is gonna be correct.
Wow.
Every game's gonna be correct. But yeah, I had that going on, and then I started off with Baker Grandview. Then we already talked about that game. It was a walk off. Then I put on CMU Mount Mercy because I was like, wait a minute, Mount Mercy up 2-0. We gotta put this game on. Watch that, and then to wrap it up, I was like, all right, let me wait. What's the score in this Iowa Marian game? Click. Went to that stream, and that wasn't a walk off, but still cool. And then right after that, real cool deal. Got to go celebrate Mike Minnick's birthday. Head coach of Coastal Georgia went to go celebrate his birthday with Chili's. The team did send the staff and everything over. It was hilarious. Classic prank. You got to do that if you're like at a restaurant with a team and you like multiple tables. You got to send the birthday. You got to send the birthday
You
guy
do.
over there. Birthday or not, even if it was, I was like, "Wait, it's your birthday?"
Even if you fake it, it's still fun.
It was awesome. A great time, and it's Chili's. Who doesn't love Chili's?
Baby back ribs?
Dude, burn the tent. Wait, never. No free ads. Chili's, pay us, Chili's. Pay us. We ain't talking more about you. But just real quick, wanted to say it was really cool be back in the booth for Weber softball up there when the Warriors, who, floating around 500, a lot better than last year, seen a lot of improvements year two in Coach Buck. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of my Warriors. I love them. They're gonna get to Clearwater and they're gonna make something shake in the conference tournament. I'm feeling it, but they showed they couldn't do that this weekend. 3 just amazing softball games, Carly. First one was a walk off.
Yeah.
5-4, incredible. Shout out Jenna, our starting pitcher, who gave up three runs in 3 innings. What the stats don't show, top of the first, left the bases loaded. Top of the second, left the bases loaded. Top of the third, left the bases loaded. Then we had a freshman come in and throw 4 shutout innings, and then Haley Saylor the walk off. And then the next 2 games were phenomenal as well. Coastal, 7-5, and game 2 we had bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th with the heart of our lineup up. Got close, almost got it. But I'll tell you something about Coastal Georgia. They are not going to let you beat them. Or, I'm sorry, they are going to make you. Yeah, it's late. Another late night recording. They're going to make you beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. It's rare. It's very rare that they do. And what's impressive about it is they're going to be a really, really scary team, Carly, if these freshman bats continue to develop, like Mackenzie Sutherland, Emma Jones, Riley Andrews, who already with the gloves, they don't look like freshmen. They don't look like freshmen. All 3 of them made incredible. The left side of that infield, you would think it'd be like y'all last year. You would think it was like Midland softball. 2 freshmen out there, Carly. Nasty. Right fielder with a rocket arm.
I
Freshman.
love that.
Lefty, or not lefty, left field, upperclassman and Rory Rhodes. Flies around. There was a double shot over her head, like easy double with the not like a slap hitter fast, but like a pretty quick batter for us up. Hit it over her head at left center field, rounded first. Rory got there, picked it up, bare hand.
Posed her?
Frozen rope. I was just like, it was one of those where like I had to like just stop for a second in the booth, just be like, all right,
What?
yeah, yeah. No, see, right, and we haven't even talked about really the heartbeat of this team. First off, 3 big names. I want to start with Sarah Thinger. Great glove over at second base, bats 354, works the count. One of those things and it's why I love just being able to watch games in person. It's like stuff I just can't can't really see because I have trouble paying attention sometimes on live streams. I'll admit it. We all do. Been there. But like in
Yeah.
person, and like got broadcasted, there she works, counts great. Right there at the top of the lineup, great glove, veteran, in the infield with the freshmen, all around her, who again they don't look like freshmen. Where they look like freshmen is with the bats. They can start swinging the bat. How we've seen other Coastal Georgia teams, and I trust Terry and Mike to get them right. I think they're going to be dangerous. Not necessarily this year. Now maybe,
Yeah.
but I think the next year. Here's our two real scary players though. Talked about this. We talked about the two the DP position. Good Lord, Bryce Beacock's one of the best DPs in the country. I mean, I think she's one of the top 5, top 10 players. Last year for sure. I mean, first team All-American. This year, our pitching numbers are not what they were, but they're inflated. They're from those 2 games in Columbus against Central Methodist and Cumberlands, and outside of that, I think it's around a 1.7 outside of those 2 games. But she's batting .494 with 5 home runs and 31 RBIs. I think we can cut her some slack if with a
That's
3 flat ERA.
Yeah.
And then they have
nothing crazy.
Then they got the next great two-way player in NAIA softball, Riley Mills, freshman, batting behind Bryce, and this honestly, I think Bryce is going to have such a good year offensively because my suggestion to any team is just don't pitch to Bryce. Like, just don't. It's not going to go well for you. She's going to hit it 300 feet. Seen it on Peepers. Here's a problem. Riley Mills is batting right behind her in the 4th spot in the lineup, batting .443, 12 doubles, 34 RBIs, 1.78 ERA with a whip of 1.15 as a freshman. They're going to be a problem. And I've seen and I've heard about, not just from them, and then kind of seen a little bit of what they got coming in. I'll almost say is, remember a couple years ago when that team was like 33-3 before Bryce snapped her ankle. That team will be back, and it could be this year. But I'm 2025. I'm all in. Chips on the table for the Coastal Georgia Mariners. But and all this non-conference. But hey, moving on to the Sooner Athletic Conference because we had some upsets.
Yeah, MACU and USAO split on the weekend. Split Friday, split Saturday. Game 1, MACU takes it 3-2. Mackenzie Thurman, she had a great weekend. Got things going with a 2 RBI single to the left. Talon Wheeler adds an insurance run with an RBI single in the top of the 4th. USAO did try to make a comeback in the bottom of the 6th and the 7th. They added a run in each, just couldn't get it done. Shayna Wolf, complete game, just 6 hits, 1 earned run, 9 Ks. Game 2, Drovers get things going. They get cooking. They win 7-2. MACU actually struck first in the 1st and the 3rd, but the Drovers dropped a 5-piece in the bottom of the 4th behind some singles, a few miscues from the MACU defense. Freshman Jaden Anderson, complete game, 8 hits, 1 earned run. Going into Saturday, MACU takes the first one again, 2-0. Not like boring, but they scored the only 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. Mackenzie Thurman, 2 RBI single. Avery Schneringer got the complete game, just 4 hits on the day. USAO comes back, game 4, 7-0. They score 3 in the first 3 innings before the dagger in the bottom of the 5th. Addison Willis goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. She scored 2 runs. Jordan Ramsey, 2 for 2, 3 RBIs. Jaden Anderson, complete game, 3 hits, 4 Ks.
Yeah.
Back and forth weekend there for USA.
Yeah. I obviously 2-2, so same record coming out, but we know who's happier about it. And MACU, obviously, I mean, that's 2 massive wins for them. And for USAO, it's still like, all right, we're fine. Every team's going to eventually slump outside of Our Lady of the Lake. I don't do that ever. Not this season at least, but yeah, they're fine. They're fine. And MACU is now
nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, and now MACU is like, okay, we are the 3rd best team in this conference, and maybe we're a little closer to 2nd than everybody else thinks, which I think is very impressive for them to say in year 1 of a new coach, and Coach Gasso. So Yeah, yeah, good for them. Yeah, I don't have any problem saying they're the third best team in that conference right now. Yeah, and I think for the Sooner Athletic Conference, this is great overall. I think now you have a real shot at getting three, maybe even four teams in. You never know how think things can shake out. But Carly, we said if the Cumberland Phoenix were going to have a shot at beating the Cumberland's Patriots, the pitching was going to have to be great. Not going to say the pitching wasn't great, but the bats for the Pats.
Got
Holy
hot.
crap. Holy crap. The only reason I didn't say earlier that Central Methodist had the best lineup in NAIA softball is I think it may be right here. I think
I
it may
think
be right here. I don't I game one, about 15-8. So the pitching for Cumberland's, they did get hit around a little bit just in that one particular game. Wait, no, 15-8 was game two. My apologies. The first game was 10-0. Yeah, the first game was 10. I was like, wait, that's not right. But yeah, first game was 10-0. And one thing that we definitely wanted to see in this lineup that we saw this weekend was Emily Bryant really start get going, and also now Anaya White swinging the bat really well. Saw her go 2 for 2. Emily Bryant did well. Who had the best weekend? Probably Amber Atkins overall for Cumberland's. Yeah, she had a 3 for 4. She went 3 for 4, 3 RBIs and a home run in game two, in which they won 8-0. And then game three, they won again 8-0. So pitching for the Pats, phenomenal. Tally Burgess in game three, 5 innings of shutout ball. The bats really helped out the pitchers with helping them only go 5 and 6 innings. Morgan
yeah.
Radford actually only went 5 2/3. Lindsay Shope came in to get the final out there in the sixth, so she got out and did some work as well. But everybody hit, everybody did well, nobody did poorly. I mean, Amber Gaynor had a big weekend, Carly Oliver big weekend, Amber Atkins probably the biggest weekend. Mackenzie Keats was getting on base, scoring a ton of runs. Pitching once again really good outside of the 15-8. But hey, when your offense is going to do that, we're chilling, we're fine. But I think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway was Emily Bryant really having a big weekend for Cumberland's, because now it's really and like don't get me wrong, we knew Emily Bryant was going to be there and be elite at some point, but it's like, God, we're seeing it now, and it's like, so they can go out there against who one of the top 3 or 4 teams, at least top 3 or 4 teams in the Mid South, and they just dismantle.
Yeah.
And at this point, I think they do have they do have a legit shot of winning every game in this conference. I mean, maybe Bryan gives them another run for their money. Lindsey Wilson could, Georgetown, I don't know. Freed Hardman definitely could get one against them. So, but still, Campbellsville can score on Campbellsville can score on anybody. But no, it's going to be another dominant year. Then I said Central Methodist, probably Cumberland's. They're right there with one of the teams I'd put there in the Final Four. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, got to probably talk about a team that hasn't lost to an NAIA team yet this year.
Oh, the OLLU Saints. They have won 31 in a row. 31. I
Oh my God!
They haven't lost since like February.
Time out, time out. I have something that we got to talk about before we get into softball. You
Huh.
see, they're having a senior day.
For dogs too, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
Gus is having a senior day.
that is awesome.
I'm fired up. Hold on, go. I'm gonna figure out the date, his exact senior day.
Okay, okay. But OLLU 31 in a row for them. I like I just can't stop looking at the stats of this team, and I just keep being more and more impressed.
It's crazy.
Um, they've outscored their opponents 226-25. They're coming off a 4-0 weekend. They defeated Louisiana Christian 8-0, 10-0, and Xavier 9-0 and 10-2. Cassie Valdez got the pitcher of the week. She had a no-no, and also broke the OLLU career home run record. She's now sitting at 34.
That's insane.
Yeah.
She's
I
nuts.
didn't dive too much into their stats. Everyone got a taste of the scoring this weekend, but
Yeah, I mean, let's look at Cassie's pitching this weekend. 10 innings, 0 earned runs, 21 strikeouts. I can do that math in my head, folks. That's 2.1 strikeouts per inning. Yeah. And then
mhm.
5 inning perfect game. It's ridiculous. By the way, Gus's senior day is this Thursday, March 28th. It's Bring Your Doggies next Thursday, March 28th against Houston Victoria. Ooh, that'd be a good game. That's gonna be a fun one. We'll definitely be talking about that one later on. First 25 dogs with owner will receive an OLLU bandana and a goodie bag.
That is so awesome.
Love it, love it,
Man,
love it, love it. They are awesome. They are awesome. I'm
they are.
so happy for Coach Lynn having a great year. Moving on though, because we need to get rolling. Excuse me, College of Idaho versus British Columbia. Talked about this could be a big way for the Yotes to get some wins before they go up against the big Oregon schools towards the end of their schedule, because I do think British Columbia is a very solid team. Only got to play two. Game one, Lexi Navarrete had the 2-run home run in the fourth, and then Annie Polster looked like an absolute ace. Looked phenomenal for them. Complete game shutout, 3 hits, only 3 walks. In game two, Lolo Walker, 3 for 4, 3 RBIs, home run and a double, just a triple away from the cycle, leading the way in an 8-1 win for College of Idaho. Madeline Powell went 3 for 4. Speedster had 2 stolen bases as well. Ambry Jones, 4 1/3 no-hit innings out of the bullpen. Games 3 and 4 were postponed. Hey, 2 great wins for the Yotes.
Yeah. Moving on, Houston Victoria and LSUA. Game one, Houston Victoria takes it 9-1. Kaylee Lopez, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Kenzie Chambers, 2 for 3, 2 RBIs. And Cameron Cohen gets the win in the circle. She goes 5 innings, allowing just 4 hits. LSUA gets the bats going in game two. They take it 9-6. They score 3 in the first and second after stringing some singles and a double together. Sorry, my contact's drying out. Houston Victoria, they score 4 in the bottom of the third to cut the deficit to 2 off a single and a 3 RBI double from Blinka. But LSUA gets 3 back in the top of the seventh. They had some 2 RBI games for Maddie Baker, Kylie Moody, and Destiny Jones. And Kirsten Martinez and Savannah Boyd split the game in the circle. They allow just 7 hits and 6 earned runs.
As I was wrapping up with some weekend, one more from each of us that we had highlighted and watched. Stillman against Middle Georgia, 2-2 game in the seventh. Lauren Haskins had the game-winning RBI single. Her numbers are really popping off. They continue to. I don't know. I mean, they're 4-4 now. They split with Bruton Parker, which is not great. That was like they really need to get to there for their overall resume when we get to it towards the end of the year, I feel like. But again, another good win. It was a split, but they did get a good win against a number 17 Middle Georgia. Lexi McRae, another phenomenal outing for her. Complete game, 2 earned, 2 walk, 2 strikeouts, 2's on the board. However, game two, Middle Georgia Knights got it back. Christina Zeppa scored Madison Riggins to walk it off on the eighth on a sacrifice fly. Speaking of Riggins, 8 innings, 2 earned, 4 hits, but it's another split there for Stillman and Middle Georgia. They get another win. We'll see what happens with Stillman. They're going to be a really interesting team to see how the Raiders are going to rate them coming up.
Yeah. Moving on, last one. Madonna takes 2 against Indiana Tech. Really good Madonna team here.
Yep.
They game one, 9-1. Jessica Dunkel got things going with an RBI double in the top of the fourth. They scored a few more here and there in the fifth, in the sixth, off Ashley Rosewich homer in the sixth. Mason Schloud, complete game, 2 hits, 7 Ks. She does it again in game two, and they win 5-1. She allows just 3 hits and 1 earned run. Knights out hit Indiana Tech 13-3. 2 hit games from Gauthier, Finkbeiner, Rosewich, Bigot, they all have two hits on the game, and then 3 from Bailey Martin, and RBIs across the board for everyone. 2 really good games for Madonna.
She threw both games?
I think so.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I'm gonna double check that.
Could be mistaken, but I could have swore.
No, I don't doubt it. I just like I almost just can't believe it that she threw 2 complete game shutouts. Was that a doubleheader? Or they play? Yeah, no, that was a doubleheader. Yeah, doubleheader. Yeah, she pitched game 2 and she pitched game 1. Jesus, she's good at soft. She is good at throwing a softball, Carly. I tell you what.
She sure can spin it.
She sure can spin it. All right, real quick, we're gonna burn through these. Midweek, just some games to watch. Not gonna go into any stats because we're pushing 2 hours on this episode already. And so we're gonna get you over to Coach Paul Hunt and Abby Pressgrove. But real quick, Tuesday. So today we have Reinhardt against Georgia Gwinnett, and we have Morningside against Midland. 2 games to watch.
That one's postponed.
Postponed. Never mind. So Reinhardt,
Hold
Georgia
out here in
Gwinnett.
Nebraska.
Nice. Love it. I got like 70. I'm going golfing tomorrow. Nice. Just PO'd the entire Midwest right there. Nice. Let's see. Wednesday, Indiana Tech against Marian. Marian continue to roll Indiana Tech, see if they get back going, get some big wins there. St. Xavier against St. Mary of the Woods. That's an interesting one right there. So whoever comes out there, that could be some really good momentum, especially for St. Mary of the Woods. They come out on top there. Wrap it up. Thursday, Our Lady of the Lake takes on Houston Victoria. That's Augusta Senior Day, so better tune in. I mean it. We're going to talk some with Coach Paul Hunt here in just a minute about this one, but Benedictine against Mid-Am Naz. And then definitely the game of the midweek. We did a game of the midweek, Hope International, Vanguard, DH, and GSAC play. But without further ado, Carly, we're going to send it on over to Coach Paul Hunt and Abby Pressgrove of the Benedictine Ravens. Have a great rest of y'all's week. We'll be back Friday. Episode. Okay, we welcome on 2 very special guests from Benedictine softball. It is Coach Paul Hunt and Abby Pressgrove. Coach Hunt, Abby, how are y'all doing?
Hey, doing great. We just finished up a practice day, got outside. It's man, this spring, our weather here has been, I mean, it's not the Sun Conference nice up here, but man, what, 60 degrees today-ish? Feels like that's been all spring. We'll take it.
Well, the only problem with hot or warmer winters and springs down here in Florida is that, and our professor just talked to us about it today. It's like, hey, y'all better get ready for a crazy summer or fall because it's going to be a bad hurricane season. So I honestly, I'll take the risk of some strong winds over the cold, but I don't know. I don't know that if I get back up living in Missouri again, I may switch that opinion real quick.
Well, I tell you what keeps me from wanting to live down in your neck of the woods, and kind of a funny story, down at Columbus, the World Series this past year.
Oh, yeah.
So I went for a run down the river. I don't know, I'm like 6 miles out, and I turn around and I'm on my way back, and I see a nice little sign that says, "Hey, crocodile habitat area." I'm like, nope, I did not see that as I ran through this whole thing, and I got back and was like, all right, let's go play some Carly play some Midland softball or something.
Them Gators ain't gonna mess with you. I remember you telling me that. Them Gators ain't gonna. Now you run up on a nest with a mama. I don't know. You may be in trouble. But Coach, let's get into it. I tell you what, before we even get into the questions and all that, you gotta tell us about Abby. Great part of your program. Excited to talk more to her. Why'd you want her to come on here with us today?
Well, I tell you what, Abby's the heartbeat of our culture. We talk a lot about being selfless, and I think stereotypically you hear so many coaches that'll come and they'll say, you know what, we want the type of player that is, the first up at the step, waiting for their teammate that came in that just went in for him and had those moments. And I don't know that I want that player. I want that player that's genuinely happy. Like it's human nature. If you're competing with somebody for a job and they have a great day, it's human nature to get a little bit sad about it and go, man, it's got that much harder for me to go win that left field job, or, to be in that spot in the order. And what I really want to see out of our program is I want to see people that are genuinely happy when that competition goes off and it's there and it is pure excitement. And I have yet to coach a player that plays this game with more joy than what Abby plays it with. And that's why she's special.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk to Abby, talk a little bit more about her and her story and everything. But Coach, want to touch on first weekend of Heart of America softball because we just talked about it in the recording. That's what we started the episode talking about with Baker and CMU and those crazy games out in y'all's neck of the woods. But first weekend, Heart of America softball did not disappoint at all. What or who has stood out to you about this conference, or who in this conference has stood out to you in the preseason and the plus weekend that we just played, obviously?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, gosh, from being in the Heart for so many years, the one thing I have learned is you never take anything for granted inside of the Heart of America. It is so tough, top to bottom. And I look at, I think the Central Methodist weekend, I think was a great example of that. And don't get me wrong, Coach Reardon has a group over there. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they learned so much from last year, and um, gosh, Jordan Ball's Jordan Ball, and she's going to go do some great things. And I mean, Haley Cotter's great, but you go look at it, and in the sixth inning of game one against Mount Mercy, Mount Mercy was up 2-0 before Central Methodist answered back and won on the walk off. And Mount Mercy's a great group in their own right, and they're looking a little bit different this first year without Witsani on the mound for them. And
right.
um, it goes to show it, right? Like that's not a team. If you were to bet that on a Vegas line and see that side of it, right? Like you wouldn't have predicted for things to go kind of the way it's going to go. But you can't predict. You can't predict the Heart. And then we had the Park upset over Grandview in week one, and I don't think that was on very many people's bingo cards. But I tell you what, Lauren Feeney over at Park is really, really good. I mean, she
Yeah.
can beat anybody in the country on any given day. And then the excitement to see, the Baker Grandview matchup, because I think that was probably the highlighted matchup of the weekend. Inside of our conference, you see two teams that historically have great programs, and both are in the national conversation right now. And then for a chance to see Baker really been tested, because they've had this really great run that they've been on here lately. But for them to see some really good competition, and for them to answer the bell, and I have no doubt that Grandview is going to come back this next weekend and answer right back, and show that they're just as strong as they've been. And here we had the ability to host Culver Stockton and William Penn, and I tell you what, both of them impressed me in different ways. Culver Stockton did a great job off of Bailey Selvage. I think they put more balls in play and had a great approach against her than most teams have throughout the year. And William Penn is just really well coached. Laura North is her first year there at William Penn. She comes from Upper Iowa, and she was at Indian Hills for I shouldn't say when Indian Hills was good, because they're still kind of a powerhouse over there, but she was a big part of building Indian Hills softball. And they did the little things right, and that became really evident. And I'm excited to see what they're going to continue to grow as they bring in recruiting classes of their own. They're going to be in that mix. But I look at our week we've got this week, and we go and answer right back with Mid-America, Nazarene, and Baker this weekend. And I tell you what, we've been looking at all of those, and Jonico at MNU started her freshman year at Central Methodist, and she looked like a pitcher of the year candidate when she was there at Central Methodist. She's really tough over there, and they've been finding ways to win some big ball games in their own right. So I know it's a long-winded answer to say, man, the Heart's good.
It is. It is good.
Well,
It's
they are.
something. No, we've been saying a lot about it. We've definitely been hyping up the Heart, and obviously one of the great opportunities I've had in covering NAIA softball. Little shout out to our boy Tyler Price setting this up is NAISB getting to host the Heart of America Media Day. And I knew when we got done, I was like, okay, the Heart was a good conference last year, sent two teams to the World Series. But my biggest takeaway is there's a lot of teams that were young that have improved, and we were going to see a lot of splits or a lot of at least close splits, and that's what we almost saw twice with Central Methodist, who is the team picked to win the conference coming in, and they've like you said, they got a squad. They got a squad. But you have y'all, Baker, Grandview. I mean, those are three teams that are top 30 programs right now this season. I think both you and Baker have now what happens this weekend is going to be a big determining factor in it. But I think whoever comes out, on top, or if it's a split, even I think both teams will walk away with the thought that they feel like they should be one of the top 25 teams in the country. Now, as you know, we'll talk more about the ratings and all that. There's a lot more that goes into it, but certainly a case for both programs. Whoever walks away this weekend on top.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's just this first weekend out, but we sit and we think of the strength of what this conference is, and we talk about being on the biggest stage and two teams being there last year, but in the past 3 years, we've had Mount Mercy's had a Columbus trip. Grandview's had a Columbus trip. And I think, when we talk about it collectively as Heart coaches and we're having conversations, it's amazing how many teams that if you were to tell me in any given February that they were going to be in Columbus at the end of that year, it's like, yeah, I believe that. Like if you told me, Mid-America, hey, they got hot and went on a run and I am 0% surprised. Or even, I know Evangel's left the Heart of America. They're over at the KCAC this year. They're off to a crazy, awesome start over there. I think they're like 7-1 right now.
Yeah, just split with Ottawa.
Oh, the split with Ottawa is it. And, and Ottawa's been the top of that conference for forever. And, if Evangel is over here right now, don't get me wrong, they'd be a great mix and they'd be in the thick of it. But if you were to tell me that's a World Series team, I wouldn't be shocked either.
Absolutely. Abby, moving over to you, your time at Benedictine has been unique. Can you tell us a little bit about your story with Raven softball?
Yeah. Well, it started out pretty unique, like just about everyone in my class, with it being the COVID year. So going off to Arizona and then not making our way back up to Ashton. And then going in sophomore year, everyone just really missing the game. And yeah, that was a really good growth year, I think, for everyone on our team. And then, but for me, that kind of left like a little bit like me wanting some more. And so then I went into that summer and that fall training like I never had before. Well, until later down the road. But yeah, so I came into junior season in the best shape I have ever been in my life. And we started out that year really hot with 2 walk-off wins in our home opener. And it was his 100th.
My 100th, yep.
His 100th win. So we really started out really strong. And then the next day, I was actually in a car accident on the highway. And so that put me in the hospital for almost a month. And yeah, so then throughout that whole time, I was in hospital and then inpatient rehab, coming back from like serious abdominal injuries. I broke both sides of my jaw. I broke my femur, my humerus, elbow, wrist, and then like 4 bones in my hand. And then along with that, in my left arm, I had serious nerve damage. Yeah, so going through all of that in the hospital, I didn't get to see my team or anything, except I did get to see him because he ended up making it up to the hospital like 10 minutes after my parents, from what I've heard. So that was a pretty hard time in the hospital, but the team throughout that whole semester was really something that got me through it. Like getting to watch from the hospital online, all of the games that were happening. And then I actually remember my discharge day. Because I was in KU Med. So that was in Kansas City. And then my team, who didn't know that I was getting out that day because it ended up being a couple days early, they were at Avila in Kansas City. And so my mom drove me straight over to the softball field. And, I hobbled up on my crutch and hid out until in between games. And I remember like the whole team like sprinting to come see me in between games. And then the rest of that semester, I was stuck back into Topeka. And yeah, the team really through that whole thing, Raven softball helped me a lot. Just like I never saw their faith waver in my recovery, and so that really helped me to like trust in all of that. And my lovely mom, who had already scheduled out all of her work days so that she could make it to come watch me, she still kept those days off so that she could drive me up to all of the Raven softball game days. Yeah, so I was just like always looking forward to game day so that I could drive back up to Atchison and see all my best friends and just be at the field. And yeah, that helped so insanely much. But during that whole time, it was always like, whether we were home or away, like they were all hopping back on the bus and then me hopping back in my mom's car and like having to drive back home to go back to physical therapy and all that. But it came actually, I mean, there's never really like a good time for anything like that to happen. But for me, it definitely came at probably one of the best times, because that year was actually like the year that I found God. Oh, wow. I was actually going through the process of entering the church that year. And I think we were actually talking like just a little bit ago, but like, I think it was kind of one of those things where what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. Because, I was like dipping my toe in the water and all of that. But I think that my accident ended up kind of being like a catalyst for me. And like, I had to put all of my trust in God through that whole time. Yeah. And so then like going back home and like pushing through everything that I needed to try and get back on the field, I was able to just like rely on God and trust that his timing was good. And then like, especially going into that summer, going back to the doctor and hearing that the nerve damage that had left my hand paralyzed, that the nerve damage actually wasn't coming, the nerve wasn't coming back. And so then that really left me for the first time, like, am I going to be able to get back out on the field? 1 second.
Sorry.
We're on a Zoom call. Sorry. Yeah, so where was I?
You were coming back and we didn't know if the nerve.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So then like that really left me for the first time, like, am I going to be able to get back out on the field? But really through that, like the whole process, God has just been really faithful. In like a week before I was supposed to get a surgery that was potentially going to get the hand function back to a certain extent, I miraculously got movement back in my hand and like now full function. But that paved a way for me to be able to more full force into physical and occupational therapy with my arm. And then going into the fall and winter, like throwing a brace on it, even when I like couldn't hold up a glove on my own. And thankfully having coaches that were like, let her push it. Like she can do it. And yeah, just like doing as much as I could, taking probably a million one-handed swings. And then in the fall, I was actually able to play our last fall scrimmage in the outfield on the condition that I didn't hit or didn't dive. And then I worked through the rest of the winter and early spring and growing in strength and everything. And then by our first game in the spring, I was able to like get back out on the mound until like I found like 100% back and was able to like consistently be in the outfield. Yeah, and I think that it definitely changed my outlook on softball a lot.
I bet, yeah. All of life. I mean, the whole experience. I mean, definitely, not something that, like you said, you'd want to have happen at any point. I mean, would rather not get in an accident like that. But like you said, it's a time of your life where you were starting to find the Lord, which awesome. Congratulations. Love that. Love hearing that. Fires me up. I'm sure Coach Babs that I was listening to, he's fired up. Listening to that too. But no, that's great. And for it to have that timing of everything, and it sounds like it has been a overall a positive experience because you got to see really how much Raven softball not only means to you, but how much all your teammates they love you and mean to you. And we're obviously going to talk about some of those others in your senior class soon. But no, Abby, that's incredible. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. And hey, I'm glad you're back. Sure, Coach Hunt, glad you're back. You're having a pretty good year, and Carly, they're having a pretty good year overall, right?
Yeah, I mean, Abby, the Ravens are 11 wins away from breaking the single season win record of 34, which was set in 2021. What is it about this team that has made y'all so successful this year?
I really think that the depth on our team has made us really successful, and also just the selflessness, like all those girls, like everyone on our team, like we have a million girls that could go out there and everyone would have confidence in them, but still like everyone giving into their roles, and like just knowing that every girl in the dugout has your back all the time. I think that's been a big part.
Coach, something you kind of hit on at the beginning was like you were excited about coming on, having a team in the national standpoint to want to come on. Something I want to mention, and I gained a ton of respect from you last year, and having a conversation with you over the phone. When I was like, hey man, you want to come on, love to have you on. You said I want to wait until I have a team where I want to come on and talk about this team. And I mean, don't get me wrong, not saying you said anything wrong about your team last year. That's not what I'm saying at all. But to have your team where they are this year, which is like 20 games above 500, one of the top teams and one of the top conferences in NAIA softball. Please tell us, what is it about this team that you think's got you in a position, like Carly just said, closing in on breaking a single season record in wins?
Yeah, well, and honestly, I don't know that there's a makeup of this team that is too far apart from what we've had the past couple of years. I think a couple of things that have really, really changed us is we've had a couple of balls bounce our way. And I think of some of the bad breaks you can get inside of our game, and I know we sit and we talk about how successful this season is, and those same alumni that are going to give us a hard time that are going to think, man. Coach was saying that
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I meant at all.
Honestly, I think it's the side of that. So this past week we honored Mary Flynn, who is she played here in the late 70s, coached here, right around the 2000 mark, and now she's left her impact kind of on a lot of our girls now. She's the chair of our exercise science department. She's graduating this year. And we always talk about what the past is doing for us. And I particularly look, so this is my 7th year, and the full 5 seasons we've had the most wins in each of those 5 seasons in the program's history. So the top 5 most winning seasons have happened over our time period here. And, you know, I look at the last 2 years and we've been a side of it where, you know, 2 games different in a conference tournament. And, you know, we're finding our way into an opening round. And we did that with some misfortune. So 2 years ago, you know, when Abby says she was in her best shape of her life before that car accident, I thought Abby was going to be a pitcher of the year candidate for the Heart of America. You know, she was ball spins like crazy, locating it, great changeup, was, you know, sitting pretty consistent around 62, just had all of the stuff and all the tools to ready to be go. And, you know, when he took that away from that team 2 years ago, we still had a great team and a great pitching staff, but it just changed that depth. And I think we had one more big arm like that inside of what that would have done with, you know, bats like Madison Zaccardo and Megan Metis, you know, who were, you know, always double-digit home runs, 20 type double type kids, you know, really would have been there. And then, you know, last year we look at Bailey Selvage's year that she's having this year. She redshirted last year because 2 weeks before the season started, a line drive came back at her in an inter squad and, you know, snapped her throwing arm. And I keep thinking, man, if you add a Bailey Selvage to what we had going last year, I think we'd have similar type numbers to kind of what this group's doing this year. But our freshman class, you know, they give me a hard time because when we interviewed last time, I said there was no shortage of personality. They have taken that and ran with it, I think, as a challenge. They are such a lively group, and you know, we just try to give them the freedom to enjoy the game and make it theirs. Because at the end of the day, this program is led by our players. The success that we're having is because of the work the players are putting in and what they're doing, and they earn every bit of it.
Well, and there you have a great senior group. And Abby, this question is for you. Want to talk about some of those seniors that you've been with there with Raven softball, and just the feeling that you have seeing the hard work that yourself, Coach Hunt, then some of the other seniors such as Cassidy James, Natalie Sheffield, Bailey Canor, Kira Willoughby, and Claire Heights. You know, with y'all having the year that y'all have had, but also knowing ton of softball left to play, a lot of Heart of America games left to play. Just kind of what's the feeling at this point of the season for you, Abby?
Yeah, when at the beginning of the year, when we had preseason rankings come out and everyone on the bus, when we saw that RV on there, but it wasn't up in the top 25 and there was so much dissatisfaction with that, I was like, this is the group that I want to be with right now. But for me, I thought that was really cool because I've never seen our name up there before. And I remember like back through the recruiting process and me talking with my mom about how like, yeah, by junior year, when it's like all the people that he's brought in and like we just keep growing because even in the first couple years they saw a lot of growth. Like that's going to be a good team. And like really seeing how every year we've just been able to keep growing and growing. And then this year, just like finally getting to see all of that hard work pay off. We're not where we want to be, but
Right.
See it like really getting there. I think it's been an awesome feeling.
I'm sure Coach can tell you, but hey, as soon as you crack that top 25, now it's gonna be like, all right, now we gotta get top 10. Now we gotta get top 5. Up now we gotta be number 1. But hey, now Carly knows a thing or two about being receiving votes at the end of the year and still ending up at the final site, right?
It's possible.
It has been done. But Weber 2 years ago. There's always one.
Yeah, it's never out of the question. You just got to get hot at the right time, and you'll figure out where you're going.
Bingo.
Well, gosh,
and,
your junior year when you ended up, you know, being at IWU for the opening round, you guys had to have been a bubble top 25 receiving votes type team that year, or were you a little bit higher than that maybe?
I don't think we were ranked. I think we were just receiving votes, but I'm not. Everything's a blur at this point, so I'm not for sure.
Fair enough.
Speaking of kind of the rating side, some of the other stuff, Coach, want to talk about some of the other stuff you do with NAI softball. You've been a part of the NAI Softball Coaches Association Executive Committee since 2019 and currently serve as president of the organization. So first off, congratulations. Awesome. You're serving in that role this year. Can you tell us a little bit about the purpose of the committee, what the purpose of it is, and your role as president? Because that's one of those things. Like even for me, new in it, and kind of like especially like 2 years ago, I've been like, "What's this?" Like, there's a coaches executive committee. What are you talking about? So can you kind of explain that for the people listening?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, it just gives us the ability to be a voice for the coaches, right? We want to, honestly, your motto kind of is the same thing we're going for. We want to grow the game. We want to bring awareness to what NAI softball is and the quality of play for NAI softball, and then to making sure we're getting everything up to par, right? So a big part of it is being the tournament committee for the World Series. Helping out with making sure the site is an appropriate site, that everything is up to the standard that it needs to be at, and that the teams are having the experience that they deserve when they get to be on that stage. But then we're also working on the bylaws and policies, kind of everything that goes in through to the background. So, a couple of the things that I'm really excited about that we've accomplished. The move from 40 teams getting into the opening round to 48, I think, is the biggest thing we've accomplished during my time period on that executive committee. I think there's always been so many, and it's kind of like, we keep talking about the football playoff and how far can you expand it and still feel like you're going to leave a couple of really great teams out. But I think we've proven with a lot of teams that have been at the 30s and 40s, making final sites and saying that the 48 really needed to grow, and that needed to be the number.
Just talking about Midland and Weber over the last two, not to cut you off, but just talk about two teams that were 2-3 seeds and not maybe receiving votes at the time, but that was it. That made it. Just saw, I mean, on the basketball side, I think Evangel was a 15 seed and just made like the Elite Eight and up in Kansas City.
Yeah, and with us being, percentage wise, we were a little bit kind of lower than what a lot of sports in the NAIA at the time period were, and that's the next piece of it, is we just have an ability to work really closely with the national office and get to know people that are championship sport directors and have a voice and have that ability to keep having it be better. It's also being part of that tournament committee is also puts us in charge of the All-American committee. So we go through the All-American process of selecting the All-Americans and the All-American team, or the All-Tournament team, All-World Series team. And honestly, the person that really needs the shout out and has been the unsung hero, Laura Clusarts from Siena Heights. Gosh, she's probably going to have to correct me when she sees this, but something like 17, 18 years that she's been on the committee. I can tell you, I've really enjoyed my time on the committee the past 5 years, and next year will be my first year. I'll be in the past president role, which is where Coach Babs is kind of sitting in that role now, and it's the first year that you can be a little less hands-on. And I'm wrong, I've really enjoyed it, but I'm really excited to spend some of that time focusing on our team instead of everything else. And I think to Laura, who's been on there for 16, 17 years, and the time that she's committed to it, she may be the most organized human in the world. She makes that whole process work so fantastically.
Funny enough, 2 years ago, I remember, like that was my first World Series, yada yada. She was actually one of the coaches I approached, and I was like, "Hey, my name is Reagan Harold. I'm doing this with Sun Conference. Could you just can we just like kind of I pick your brain here for like 5 minutes?" And she kind of explained some of the some of the things that like I laugh at now. Like, so I was like, "Hold on, the DP can just come in." They just enter it out. But yeah, no, she's great. And I mean, like you said, doing the make it with everything with the World Series. My 2 years as part of in the NAI softball world and with the World Series have been phenomenal. Seeing you, Coach Babs, Coach Laura, obviously Brad, Bill, and Bill with the umpires, and Brad with the NAI doing a phenomenal job. It's been really cool, really cool being a part of those World Series for sure.
honestly, you just nailed the best part of it for me. The thing that I've enjoyed the most being on the executive committee is, my network has grown a ton. The amount of people that I've had the opportunity to meet and just talk shop with a little bit between, all the coaches that are not just on the committees, but they're at the final site, right? And we're having those conversations and seeing how they're preparing their teams and a lot of the behind the scenes people. I mean, Mary Sherman, who works there with the city of Columbus,
Yep.
she does such a fantastic job, and honestly, that's why, to me, Columbus is the perfect host city. Um, it's because of her and the people that are there. So it's so special.
Anywhere where I don't have to get a hotel and still get to go to the World Series, hey, I'm all for. I can make that little 45, maybe an hour drive. I can do that real easy. But yeah, you hit on another name, Mary. We got a chance to do an interview. You actually helped set that up last year with us, getting to talk with her and go be around that complex down the baseball where they had the minor league stadium at, and she was like, yeah, I mean, we've had Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, all these, and Jackie Robinson, all these names play there. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I mean, well, that was the site, in the Olympics, was it
Yeah.
96 that it was played there?
Yep.
And gosh, such a cool piece of history. And, for all of us Midwest teams, I know it's still starting to get warm up here, but you still never know. Sometimes in May, you might get that day that, we're still pulling out an Under Armour. It's really nice to know we're in short weather.
Carly, you didn't have to wear many long sleeves down in Columbus last year, did you?
No, and I was so thankful.
Amen.
Good. But coach, other than, your responsibility as a head coach and president, you've served as the Heart of America Conference Raider since 2021. What are some of the details you look at as a Raider when you're ranking teams?
Yeah, and the big thing is trying to find the teams that belong, and the strength of schedule to me is the ultimate test to that. We see a lot of great records that can come through there, and it's trying to figure out, okay, are those records really who they say they are, and like what will happen when they're seeing other top teams in the country. So I think the thing that I spend the most time with is when we see teams that are really, really impressive. It's going and seeing those key matchups. And then for me, I'm kind of a junkie. If there's games on a stream, and even if we're not scouting them because we don't have them on our schedule, or the foresight of having them on our schedule, if there's a great game on, it's probably on. We got 3 screens sitting inside of here, and there's usually multiples going. So having that eyeball test, of seeing where teams are at. Because I think there are a lot of teams that can fly under the radar until you go and you see that one arm go, and you're like, oh no, that kid's special. And trying to see where it's going to be. I mean, you think of some of the names that have really jumped out and carried their team. Seeing Hope jump up with Ali Puente and the year that she's having. Seeing Valdez down at that Our Lady and watching all the success that they're having. And I know some of the names that aren't surprises even, but you think back to, I remember the first time that we had to pay attention to, Emily Cerny. And now we're doing the same thing down there with Sophie Williams, and JJ's down there. And honestly, maybe the most overlooked pitcher in the country, Abby Gregory's stuff is absolutely filthy when you watch her go just carve up some teams. So a lot goes into it inside of the ratings, but yeah, strength of schedule for sure, and seeing who they've put. And to me, we take a lot of pride inside of our program when we look at it as how our Raiders going to see what we do. And we try to, when we made that Dallas trip this year, the reason that Dallas trip early for us is we knew we were going to have an opportunity. Originally, when it first went out, it looked like we were going to be able to see Oklahoma City and Science and Arts, and having the opportunity to see teams like Midland being down here. And we want as many top teams in the country on our schedule as we can have to be battle tested, because I think it's what prepares you.
Yeah, Carly, how about that? Remember that game earlier the year, 9-8 Midland Benedictine. Remember we were stressing that
Yeah,
one. I was just refreshing the game changer.
Well, I'll tell you what, I felt guilty when I realized you didn't have access, because we had a camera feed going later. We should have sent it over to you. I can tell you it was a stressful group over there. I mean, Beth's got, just such a great job. You look at the history of that program. Mike Hurd, who's now over there at UNO, and they're killing it over there. He brought a great assistant in Jen Darrow up there, and you look at these classes, and as a fan of the game, I was sad to see you not use that 5th year, Carly. But as a guy who have to run in and have to face that group, I was like, all right, well, okay, the stud shortstop's gone, but you still got kids like Ronnie Foote and Rincon. It can be just dangerous, and I mean, I think what really separates her, if she's getting a half an inch off the plate, she's going to use that half inch. If she's getting 2 inches, she's going to use it. If she gets up, she's going to use it. She has something everywhere. And her ability to just control what she's doing. But honestly, and maybe the name that doesn't get brought up enough when we talk Midland softball, Emily Pry, I think might be one of the toughest outs in the NAIA.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. So, and a fun little Midland story, and I'll get off Midland's kick here, but we looked really hard. We really wanted Peyton Kohler to be a member of our group. We went in the recruiting process. She was really high on our list. She is one of the funnest kids on the mound, I think, to watch just compete. She gets behind the rubber, and she's going to walk back.
Yeah.
And it's go mode. And I just, she's fun to watch.
Yes. I love her confidence.
Yep. So much swag.
Abby, last year, 2 Heart teams, I'm Central Methodist, Baker, they made the World Series. Was it cool to see 2 teams in your conference make it all the way to Columbus? Or did it serve more as a motivation for you and your squad this season?
I think both, for sure. Like he was saying, we really love getting to see ourselves compete with teams that are up there, and getting to see ourselves last year against all of the Heart, who could be anyone any day, and then also getting to face Oklahoma City and Science and Arts last year, and getting to see ourselves compete with some of those top teams, and compete well against all of them, I think was definitely a motivator for, especially going into this year and seeing how in the past we've been able to compete. And then it's also just cool to kind of show how good the Heart of America is competing.
Did you watch that game, the Central Methodist Baker game?
No.
You missed
I had a front row seat to it, and
yeah, we had good views. We had good views, Coach. That game, I wouldn't talk about that game. I mean, it's actually crazy, and this may be something for some coaches to start thinking about. So the last 2 years in the opening round of the World Series there in Columbus, there's been an inter-conference game. 2 years ago is Weber Southeastern. Last year was Central Methodist Baker. The home team won both of those games on extra inning walk-off home runs. So seeding in the World Series might matter a little bit. Be the home team first go around there.
Yeah, and something to go back, because I think this surprises so many people don't know this. Because we got that question last year as a committee, is like, hey, how is this matchup happening right out of the gates? So when we go through as a selection committee, when we're determining opening rounds, we seed that all the way out. It's 1 through 40. This year it'll be 1 through 48. And then it's already predetermined, so when it comes through that. So I do know, and we looked at it, and it's like, man, we just saw these guys beat each other up anyway and go compete, and we're going to turn around and do it again. But honestly, I was excited about it because I just, the year Kira Baker had last year, and not to disrespect Central Method's pitching staff at all, because that is a super strong staff over there. But what always impressed me as a competitor against them was the depth of their offense. I mean, they just had so many different pieces that could go do it. And it, to me as a spectator, really love to see best on best. And, to me, that was one of the top arms in the World Series a year ago against one of the best offenses in the World Series a year ago. And that's just fun to watch.
Well, and on the other side of the circle, you had a freshman pitcher who had been, but probably felt like throughout the year is like, all right, this freshman Kira Baker's been getting talked about. Let me introduce the world to maybe the most electric player in the World Series last year, at least personality, getting fired up was in Jordan Ball. I mean, I didn't know she got that fired up, and then saw her going after and everything after every strikeout, just losing. And y'all see it in the intro every time on YouTube, just see her just going crazy. But Coach, you worked 3 NAIA softball World Series, part of the committee and everything. What is it about the top teams in the country? Is there something that's really stood out to you about those teams? Maybe a philosophy or two that you wanted to bring back into your program that you've picked up on?
Oh man, I tell you what, the very first year that I was a head coach, I went to the national convention, and Mike Candrea was the keynote speaker, and he had touched on 2 big things inside of that really stuck with me. And I know this isn't quite to the World Series yet, but
You're good.
being right where your feet are and stealing from the side of it, because at the end of the day, we're not reinventing the game. So I can't tell you how much I have taken from teams. Seeing Phil McSpadden and how he operates it. It's watching how positive somebody like Jaden Wallace. Her team will run through a wall for her, and because no matter what happens, they could have the worst misfortune in the world, and she is going to find a positive into it, and every kid on that unit is going to believe exactly that message that she preaches. And then, just on the field, you got to have your difference makers. Your key players have to step up on that stage. You look at players like Riley Donovan, who isn't just going to be a baller. She's going to go be a baller and say, "Here's the biggest stage in the country. Let me go be on it and be a big time difference maker." And then you go look at the Southeastern team of 2 years ago, and they just ran. They're going to go create chaos, right? They're going to put as much inside of it. And find out. And then you see teams like what Our Lady was and what Midland was and CMU was, where, hey, the bats are going to do it. We're going to swing. Like we're trying to hit the ball for power. So as much as there's been to steal, I think the truth of it is you just got to be true to who your team is. And you need to play to the unit that you have. And maybe one of the things that goes back to what's making this group so special this year is there's not that one key piece to it. Coach S and I were joking the other day. We were doing some scouting reports on teams, and it's like, usually we go in with a game plan of, hey, this is the kid we really don't want to let beat us, and here's where their strength is, and how do we overcome it. And it was really interesting. Hey, let's pull up Benedictine softball really quick on 643 charts, and man, there's so much balance. You don't know what avenue it's going to come from. We can be in top 20, 25 and extra base hits and home runs. And we still have, 2-3 kids that are 15 plus stolen bases. You just don't know what avenue that it's going to come from on any given day. So, the thing I think I've learned the most from all those great teams at the World Series is know your identity, know who you are as a group, and don't get away from it. Go be who you are, because at the end of the day, it's the same game that we're playing every day.
Yeah, and like you said, hit on it there. Just be who you are and play to your identity, and win how you win. But something you said earlier that I thought that I really really resonated with me, and it's a lesson I learned early on way before NAISB, just in covering Sun Conference athletics, is your superstars got to be superstars in that moment. Maybe not all the time. You could have someone else step up, but I mean, look, even for Midland last year, they needed a big knock. Carly, Ronnie hitting home runs. But I remember 2 years ago, Brian Fuentes, who was the NAIA baseball player of the year, he had 20 home runs through the regular season and opening round for Southeastern, and he said, "Hey, I want to come back on Suncast." And I was like, "All right, sure. I mean, you're best player in the country. I'll get you back on." We got talking and everything, and a little bit in, he said, "Reagan, I'm gonna go up to Lewiston. The record is 24 at Southeastern." He said, "I'm gonna hit 5 home runs, and we're gonna win the World Series." He went up there, and on the last game, he hit his 5th home run to help win them a red banner. And it's like, no, I'm not encouraging somebody to come on here and say something like that, because I got a feeling Adrian Dinkle didn't really love Brian saying that, but he definitely backed it up. And having on the softball side of things, like you said, Riley Donovan last year. I mean, good Lord, if she did not see a single strike that entire World Series, I wouldn't have blamed a single coach, a single pitcher. Kayla Williams stepping up for them in 5 straight games and just throwing about 30 innings of shutout ball. 2 years ago in the World Series I watched, it was great defense, won, yes, but Shelby Cornelson shut them down, mowed them down. You remember, like, I was like, wait, that's the pitcher that these girls got hit? Yeah, no, that's the team that's going to win it. But yeah, they got to step up, and yeah, I completely agree with you on that end.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, on the other element too, and I think maybe the bigger thing that that I think we have an advantage of from between being at opening rounds as a site supervisor and, you know, being at the World Series is, you know, it's out of routine. You know, all year we're playing in these maybe tournaments, but generally it's double headers, and you kind of get into your flow of, hey, this is exactly how we're doing our BP and how we're doing our warm up, and this is what our pregame infield looks like. Um, and then you get to the World Series in these opening rounds, and hey, maybe you're playing in the morning now, and you're not used to playing in the morning, and it's afternoon. How do you handle the off day? And where has that group kind of fallen inside of that? And to be able to sit back and watch how, uh, you know, some first year head coaches while they're there, how they've been treating it, and then you go look at, you know, coaches that have been there a lot. I mean, again, Phil McSpadden, who's, I mean, the GOAT, right? So watching how he treats with his team and handles all of that. We're not going to be surprised by the schedule and what the format is and what that layout is when we do get a team down there eventually here.
Abby, we talked a little bit about how, you know, teams are special. They have their own unique cultures and philosophies. Tell us a little bit about the Ravens and their culture, what it's like, some fun things y'all do, etc.
I think this is what got us in trouble the first time on here. Just about there's no shortage of personality on our team. And I think that that's my favorite thing about the team is that we could have fun doing anything, just sitting around, really anything with this team.
Nothing.
What about like rain delay, bus
Yeah.
trips? What we got going on? What are we doing to pass the time?
Yeah, there's a lot. If we can get a hacky sack out at any time, we definitely would. On buses, there's always the group that's gonna be dancing, and then we always have the Disney shows, the old movies running somewhere.
I think you can't believe you're leaving out some karaoke moments. I've had to listen to a lot of groups of 20 girls,
Yes.
you know, singing
Yeah.
Are
everything
they
under
better softball players than singers, coach?
Well, I'm gonna let our records speak for ourselves. We don't have any awards for our vocalists yet, but you know we've had a few girls that have come through the program that had some chops.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, Coach, your second World Series, 2022. That was Reagan's first. He was covering Weber and Southeastern. Did you two run into each other or meet up or have a little chat?
Yeah, you know, we had probably a handful of interactions just because we're out and about, and um yeah,
It's a
gosh,
busy time.
it was, you know, and it was crazy at the time period because I know you were in like full coverage mode of I'm getting everywhere, and you know, come game days, a lot of those times there's a lot of just little things that the committee's doing back and forth. So, you know, we definitely had a handful of conversations that first year for sure.
Yeah, I'll come out and I'll admit something right now. I was so nervous at that World Series. I was like, let's not screw anything up. I've been doing sports media for a solid 2 months now, so try to stay on the line. I was like, he's just doing the khaki pants with a weird bird on his shirt. I was like, is that like a raven or something? I was like, I don't know, but no, we I remember I don't know again what when I talk with like you, Coach Babs, Coach Laura, Brad, Bill, those individuals, that first little bit, I was like, there's some cool people around here. Like, there's some cool people in this in this that we can build around. We could do something with. Then you know it's obviously grown since then. But yeah, I don't know. It is funny thinking about. Now I thought about this more with Coach Bass when I got done with that interview with him. It was like, huh, that was a guy that I just saw just 2 years ago when I was, like I said, I was terrified. They're like the first game was Weber Southeastern, so obviously the big game I was there to cover. I still have nightmares about Haley Harrell hitting a walk-off home run in the bottom of the seventh. That one, that's one of the tougher losses I have taken in all the sports. But still, just being there. But I was like, I wonder if I'm allowed to get in the press box. I wonder if this media pass gets me in the press box. And I don't know. I asked you or Babs or somebody, but and I ended up getting there, and I was like, man, they don't know who I am. I'm just some kid, and they don't care. Like, how can we help? How can we do something? How can we do it? And I think that's really shown what the NAIA has been all about. It's helping people that want to do good. I think there's obviously there's parts, there's politics, there's grudges, there's whatever. But I think from overall, that's what I've really fell in love with the NAIA about. And Coach kind of leads me into next question for you. You were kind of one of those first coaches to reach out to me, show a lot of support, and kind of understand what we were trying to do with NAISB when we were like first get going. I mean, the Heart of America Conference. I mean, overall, and it's why it's going to be a conference that we're going to cover a lot. One, because it deserves it. It's one of the top NAIA softball conferences as it stands now. So obviously, we're going to talk about it. But you, Tyler Price, who we've already brought up, bringing us in from having like one episode and being like, hey, we'd love to have you on to host this Heart of America Media Day and get that word out. But my question is, why were you eager to come and back Taylor and I when we first started last year? Continuing with Carly and I now and our entire amazing team, and also just how can we continue to expand and expand and continue our message of wanting to grow the game.
Yeah, so honestly, it does go back to that first World Series for me. And it's interesting for you is because you might not remember this on how hyped up you were, but you could tell you were a Sun Conference guy through and through. Like you talk about it and you kind of get into like, hey man, what do you think here and predictions and this side of it of here? But it was every time, and you were so quick to give your take and your allegiance. Oh, and don't get me wrong, I mean zero disrespect to Weber and South. Though man, they had two great groups that year. Like definitely deserved to be on that stage. They still got great groups down there. It's really good football down there in the Sun. But man, I think after talking to you after the Weber Southeastern game, I think you were kind of had the vibe of like, man, this shouldn't be a first matchup. This should be like final day, no matter what. Like, this was it. But you had a passion, right? And it was so driven that it was there. And being a baseball guy, myself, and I know you're coming from the football world, but coming from baseball to the game of softball. Mm-hmm. Man, I still love baseball, but it's not the same level of excitement when you go watch it. Our game's just so much faster and it moves so much quicker. And there's some similarities, but they're just two different worlds. And it was really fun watching you fall in love with the game. And I felt like I was watching that happen. Yeah. So then when you first started out and you started getting coverage across the whole side of it, because I think that's one of the areas. Between being a Raider and just seeing the whole side of being around the whole part of the country is everybody loves their area. You go to the West Coast and you talk to the Cascade and great conference. I mean, you go look at what Oregon Tech, Southern Oregon, Eastern Oregon's looking so fantastic out there. I mean, they got so many pieces that are out there, but they know their groups really, really well, and they feel like that's the best piece of what's there. And then you go down to California, and they feel like that's the best piece. You go talk to the Sooner, and everybody knows their areas so well. But what I think you're helping do is you're helping bridge the gap, and you're letting people in the Cascade know about people in the Sooner, and you're letting people in the Red River know about the Sun, and having that knowledge across the country, because there's so much good softball across this entire country in every conference. We look across over at the KCAC and you got, Ottawa, and I know, Friends is maybe in a little bit of a slump of where I think they're going to be, but I think they're so incredibly strong. Teams like Avila that could go on a run. Then you look up at the GPAC and seeing, between Northwestern and Midland and, the past several years, kind of what Morningside was able to do. And people didn't have a way to know that before you, right? They knew their area. And teams knew the teams that maybe they went and got to go see on an Arizona trip when they made a big trip early in the year. But your motive has always been so clear and so dry. And then you brought great people in. right? So as we've gotten to know each other, and gosh, Brayton Carpenter does a lot of the, the photos and the videography for you guys. He kind of had a surprise trip up for us. We didn't know he was coming up here, but seeing him up here for our weekend now and watching the work that he's done, he has so much passion for it, just like all of you do. And
Yeah.
then I guess to go on to the question a little bit further of what's next, man, that's a great question I think we've got for you. I don't know if can I talk about future things?
So this is fun. Sure, why not? We can announce it, because at this point I don't think there's many people who don't know about it in the NAIA softball world. So to officially announce it, we are hosting a NAISB Invitational in Shawnee, Oklahoma next year. It's going to be a 27 team invitational. The spots are full. I will say that we have 20. So currently I have 22 teams committed, 5 teams pending, and some other teams waiting. And I'm obviously not going to reveal those teams here live, but we do have 22 teams committed. And we'll get official solid commitment when we get into the summer with the turn of everything. But yeah, that's definitely one thing that we're doing, because I have been unbelievably vocal, I think, at this point, in saying that I'm not like, this is what I'm doing until it's got to be something like an MLB broadcaster job and they tell me you're not doing it. And in which case, there are plans in place to keep this thing going if that day comes earlier than expected. I don't expect that to happen anytime soon, unless just something crazy happens. But even still, I'll also ask if it's the Braves, they're like, hey, we want you to come be play plays, like, I'm like, can I still do a podcast? We go with covering we go with the podcast. But that is definitely one of the ways that I can do it, because I can get up here and I can say, or I can get on the phone call with you, or et cetera, with coaches. I could call and be like, hey man, yeah, I'm here for 10, 15 years. Well, still got to figure out a way to make ends meet. Now, obviously, the broadcasting and sports information side, media side, what I'm doing down here at the Sun Conference, and further broadcasting opportunities post college. Obviously, that's going to be something. But doing that tournament out in Oklahoma is, going to help me continue with NAISB, continue to keep people like Carly, keep people like Braden Carpenter, Connor Darnell, Madison White. Even something I would like to do is get more student helpers, or not helpers, but interns, like Kayla Mick, making our amazing TikToks, doing stuff like that, fun things like that to continue to grow. I honestly, I'll give credit to Coach Weeks at Montreat for putting this idea in my brain. Talking to a couple players that are interested in the sports information route, that are wanting to write game recaps and say that's something they'd want to do. And because look, we watch a ton of softball. We don't watch every game. Newsflash: a lot of these we're looking at box scores. We're reading game recaps. So if we had a player per se that was interested in doing that, or just keeping us informed, anything like that, I think that's certainly something we could look at. Now, all 197 teams, no, probably not, but 1 or 2 from each conference, I think that's something that we could do, absolutely. But no, definitely the tournament's the big thing. There's a lot more details that I have to keep a little closer to the chest. I will say, name we've brought up a couple of times now, Jaden Wallace has been just an unbelievable help, unbelievable support in getting this done. But yeah, that's the big one, obviously. And then there's some fun off-season stuff. I think something we can also say and do now, because now, hey, pressure on other schools for this is, you want to talk about what we got planned up this summer?
Yeah, so I mean, we've had an invite to get you up and see our campus, and spend it, whether it's summer or maybe even if we can push it to fall, because I'd love for
Yeah,
this
fall. Yeah, we
players
do
to be
fall.
around, but we talk about how great NAIA softball is, but just the NAIA schools, I think sometimes can kind of get overlooked in the whole side of it. And at the end of the day, at our level, and I know there's a couple of names right now that are breaking this, with Emily Cerny playing a little bit of pro ball, but for the most part, these athletes are going to be doing something else with their life that is so much bigger than what softball is. And You know, it's the same thing we tell just about every recruit that we meet with. If you come and you're a part of our program, and the best thing that you leave with is that you became better at softball in those 4 years. We had a lot of people that failed you. You know, we hope that you leave with life skills, and that you grow as a person. And we hope that you grow in your faith. We hope that you know, you grow in your education. But to be able to highlight our campus, you know, our campus is absolutely gorgeous. Our athletic facilities are top notch. But man, come see our culture. Come see,
Yep.
and not just the softball culture. You know, come see the culture of Atchison, Kansas, which is, you know, just like a lot of these NAI schools. We're in a relatively small town. That, you know, if you weren't covering Benedictine softball, you would have never heard of Atchison, Kansas.
Nope.
But this place is special, and
Yep.
you know, yeah, I really hope we make that work out. We'd love to have you up here and
Yeah,
show you.
that's something I'm excited for, and like we're building. Like, hey, subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's what it was for. We're building that up, and it's already. We're getting to a point where like, and then we talked a little bit about this, where like the YouTube has really helped us start to kind of get up there, and so we continue to build that. That's the biggest thing that people can do to help us subscribe to our YouTube, so we can keep getting those numbers. And then I think going and doing content like that, going out there, and y'all and whatever coach, whatever athletic director, whatever president would like to sponsor us coming up there and doing something with their softball coach, hey, we are all ears. We're all ears, especially during the summer and fall. But coach, this might be a record for the longest interview that we've had.
I can get a little long-winded for
No,
sure.
we're good. This is awesome. You kidding me? This has been great. One last question for both of you. Abby, got to start with you. This is a new tradition. Carly, you started this trend. I'll let you ask the question.
All right. So y'all are heading up somewhere, you know, you got a weekend series. You stop at a gas station. What are you getting? What drink, what snack, what food? What are you grabbing?
Probably if I had my choice, it would be a lemonade and I would say Rice Krispie treats, but we would have that on the bus. So
That's a good pick. Good pick. What candy? We going candy bar?
But you know, like those long Tootsie Rolls?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fair. I respect that.
Good. Coach, what about you? What we rocking with?
I tell you what, if it is a pregame stop, there is definitely some sort of caffeine that is mixed in it. You know, I don't know how Amino Energy from Optimal Nutrition. I don't know how they're not sponsoring me at this point in time. Like we've always got a little Amino Energy with us. I am a sucker for some golden double stuffed Oreos. You know, the girls will kind of know it. I'm a stress eater, and you know, we ever have that moment. I can't tell you how many times I've come up here, whether it's the girls or it's Coach S, just making sure that I'm, you know, maybe tolerable to be around after maybe a tough weekend. There'll be just a package or two sitting up here on the desk, and it's like, all right, I know that I need to breathe a little now.
Love it. Love it. Well, Coach Hunt, Abby, this has been phenomenal. Again, Abby, I want to thank you for coming on and telling your story, which was, you know, special. I can see even Coach Hunt starting to get a little emotional, maybe, when we're bringing it up, and for you to do that and having the year that you're having, awesome. Got a great group, Coach. You know that. So best of luck the rest of the season. Heart of America coming up. Got some tough ones this weekend. I'll be locked down. Eating Easter dinner, and on my phone I'll have some Benedictine versus Baker. So y'all have a great one, everybody listening. Thank you so much again. Subscribe to the YouTube, 5 stars, iPodcast, Spotify, yada yada yada. On that end, we'll be back Friday with the weekend preview, midweek recap. Again, thank you so much, Abby Pressgrove and Coach Paul Hunt, Benedictine softball. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Catch you Friday.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What?
Oh, thanks for having us. Yeah.
Oh, okay.